Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, I know, but it's the football podcast. That's right, football's back, baby. Yes, indeed. The guys are here. They are talking football. Season 8. I mean, Season 8, man. Come on, let's do this. The guys are here. They're talking about their teams, other teams, off-season, pre-season, the season, things to watch out for, things to look forward to, who's going to be scoring all the goals. It's all here, and it's all ready for you to listen to. Or watch. There's a watch option. We know this, right? There's an option to watch. You guys know. Anyway, before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. Obviously the big one, the one that helps out the little podcast that could, is share that podcast around. If you've got a football fan in your life, send this podcast their way. They will love it. Right, enough from me. Let's hear from these guys. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the football podcast.
Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, to the CookieCast Football Podcast, season 2025-2026. And the podcast will have a slightly different flavour to it this season, as Mr. Cook will no longer be a regular on the pod. He might dip in for, whenever one of our teams is playing Leeds and he can just predict, a 16-0 victory or something like that. But apart from that, his glorious face will no longer be a part of the podcast. So it just leaves myself as your Middlesbrough correspondent, Mr. Stuart Woodmansey, your Hull correspondent, and Mr. Matthew Moore as your Nottingham Forest correspondent. How are we, gents? Have we all had a wonderful summer?
I was gonna say that you probably should drop in there that we're back with your weekly dose of whatever the opposite of optimism is in terms of how my off season's gone.
Hey, listen, fair enough. Me and you might be the pessimistic bunch for this season, taking that spot from Mr. Moore, but he's got a European adventure to be looking forward to this season. So, and not even in the competition he thought he was going to be watching. So,
who knows? We still don't really know which competition we're in, so that would be the starting point.
I reckon for a laugh, you should just turn up to Palace's game anyway, just to.
Thought this was our game. Hang on a minute. We didn't get the email.
We bought my tickets to Western Moldova, so I just have to use them. So we won't waste any time, ladies and gentlemen. We'll dive straight in. So we're going to start with Hull City's off season, and don't think anything's happened, has it? It's been a nice, straight roller coaster with no ups, downs, or anything.
Well, after finishing 21st and surviving on goal difference on the last day of last season, you'd, I'd maybe be remiss in thinking that we might need a bit of a rebuild. However, on the 4th of July, Hull confirmed that a transfer embargo was in place, covering the next 3 transfer windows due to issues with loan payments to clubs from last season, namely Aston Villa over Louis Barry, who I might add cost in the region of £1.5 million in the end, and made 4 appearances and not even 4 full games for that price. And then there was an issue apparently with the payment to Manchester City over Finn Burns' loan, again, who was not a regular in the first team. Hull are quite confident over their appeal. Apparently, certainly the latter payment hinged on receiving money in from another club who hadn't paid us. So there's a bit of a sort of domino effect. However, before the embargo was announced, Hull had already signed 2 players. So I'm assuming that Did you want me to go through the list, Paul, or are you going through the list? How are we doing this?
If you've got the list in front of you, you can, by all means, lead away. I've got a list I can go through if you'd like.
Well, the two that I was going to mention, the two that we signed before the embargo, was now. I haven't heard this guy's name said out loud before, and you'll be able to tell in a second. His first name is Reda or Reda, and his surname is Lalawi.
Now,
Um,
if he's not Hawaiian, someone's done something very bad on his birth certificate, because that's up there with one of the most Polynesian names I've ever heard.
when you go to the club shop with your kids and they're like, right, what name would you like? Don't pick anything with vowels in it. That's gonna absolutely be the case for that. The other permanent signing before the embargo was Gustavo Puerta. His loan was made permanent. However, because of the embargo, even though these players have been signed, there is a possibility, depending on the outcome of the appeal, that they may not be permitted to be registered, which is absolutely fucking scandalous.
Yorkshire Barcelona.
It's Barcelona all over again.
It's the Yorkshire Barcelona. Can we believe it?
I would suggest that whoever is in charge of admin needs a fucking rocket up their ass for a start. However, the outcome of the appeal is yet to be decided, and in true podcast form, it's probably going to be about 20 minutes after we finish recording. So there is that. But hopefully by the next time we have a full update, perhaps, or certainly by the end of the transfer window, we'll have a bit more of an update on that situation. Just as a little side note to add in here as well, could be an interesting one this season for our owner, because obviously people are a little bit worried about the finances of the club in general, and being captain PR that he is, has taken it upon himself to allow a Sky Sports documentary crew to follow him during the entire season.
Why? Why?
It'll either be genius or an absolute disaster. On the basis of, remember, I was there at the meeting that he decided to tell the entire world that he thought his own first choice goalkeeper was shit one season. I would suggest the latter.
I was going to say, can we make predictions on that? Because I'm going to pick car crash.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 110%. Or it'll get 4 games in, it'll be going to shit, and he'll have bumped them off. Not permanently. That didn't come out right. You know Anyway, because of the situation, we're only allowed to bring in players that do not require a transfer fee or a loan fee. So we had no hope at one point that it was going to be everybody out and not a lot in. However, I think this is possibly the busiest transfer window I've ever known, particularly in such a short space of time.
I did contemplate opening up with the classic. It's not Forest that the busiest for once in the transfer window.
Well, in terms of players out, right, here's the list. The players out list is horrendously long. So, Steven Alzate gone to Atlanta United for a fee, officially undisclosed. Sean McLaughlin gone to Blackburn for a fee, officially undisclosed. You might be able to spot a pattern here, kids. Marvin Malem gone to Armenia Bielefeld. No idea. Xavier Simons has gone to Bolton permanently. Alfie Jones has made the jump from one of the podcast teams to another podcast team. A bit of a sideways move, you might argue, which is an awful lot like his passing you're about to discover. Alfie Jones has gone to Middlesbrough. Anthony Rachopi has gone to FC Sion, so goalkeeper out of the door, because we had $1 million in the building. Andy Smith, young defender, has gone to Gillingham. A bit disappointed with that one, because I thought he was possibly one for the future. However, it's probably because of the situation the club have found themselves in. He's gone permanently. João Pedro, last season's top scorer, they extended his contract. They took the option and then cancelled it by mutual consent within about 3 weeks. So he has officially gone on a free to San Luis. Dogakan Cynic has recovered from his 64th injury of the last 3 months of the season to just in time to get his backside out of the door back to Turkey to Antalyaspor.
If you
Brandon
listen carefully,
Fleming. Huh? You what,
sorry,
sorry?
if you listen carefully, fellas, you can hear Stu shedding many a tear at the fact that Mr. Cynic has left the building because it was definitely a favourite player. So
I think, even though it's pre-season, I think he's already played as many games for his new side as he did for Hull. So there is that. Unless he's injured again, because, it's kind of a given. Anyway, Brandon Fleming, local lad, has gone to Derry City. He was the longest serving player on the books when he left, having come up through the juniors. But he's gone to Derry City. Northern Amrabat, one season wonder really for us, did a job when he needed to, was great for the team, great to watch, but was never staying for long. I've got this team down as written as Wydad, and I have no idea where that is, or Wydad.
they were in the FIFA Club World Cup. They're from Morocco. They're Casablancan.
Okay, there we go. It's more than I knew. Callum Jones has gone to Dundee, and then we have a slew of loans. So Timothy Lotatala, another goalkeeper, out the door to Doncaster on loan. Been there before, so that's fair dues. Abdush Omar has joined Dogakan Cynic, but this time his is on loan. He's gone to Antalyaspor. It's two strange ones for me. Mason Burstow gone to Bolton on loan. So he'll be linking up with Xavier Simons, and Matty Jacob has gone to Reading on loan. I assume those final two are going to command a loan fee of some sort, particularly as Burstow was only brought in last season and has a lot of energy about him. It's a bit of a strange one. He'll if he does not get a weekly starting place at Bolton, I will be massively surprised. If he doesn't return to the club having scored minimum double figures for the season, I'll be very, very surprised, particularly at that level. However, again, thinking we wouldn't get any players through the door, we had the two that I mentioned earlier, and a whole host of freebies. So, in no particular order, Enes Destan from Turkish club Trabzonspor, centre forward for free. Semi Ajayi from West Brom, centre back for free. Akin Famewo from Sheffield Wednesday, as with every player from Sheffield Wednesday at the moment, for free. He's another centre back. Dylan Phillips from Rotherham, goalkeeper, because we've got rid of two and needed to keep the quota above 5 in the building, I think. So that was the anyway. Then loan signings. We had Joel Ndala from Manchester City, who's a left winger. A young lad, looks very promising. And John Lundstrom from Trabzonspor. However, he's a defensive midfielder. He's on loan. People may know him because he's played for a Turkish team with a Nordic-sounding surname, but is pretty much the most scouse person I have ever heard utter any kind of words. So that was an interesting listen to the I want to say promotional video. I really hope that the media team have upped their game in terms of protection on the camera lenses and stuff this season, because it's going to need to be wiped clean.
Saving a bit of money with not having to take showers.
And just as the podcast started to record, it was unveiled that Hull have also signed another former Sheffield United player, because Lundstrom played there too, in Ollie McBurney. He's a striker on a 3-year deal. He's 29 currently. Don't see him finishing the end of that contract, if I'm honest, because he will either be shipped out or in prison. So, yeah, not necessarily the striker that I wanted particularly. Let's mark him down in the category as one of those players that if he's on the opposition team is a bit of a prick, and let's hope to God he's good for ours because, yeah, not a huge fan. But this is the situation we find ourselves in when we're not actually allowed to spend any money. Or do we even have money to spend? At this point, who knows?
So that is all the transfer business, but it's not the only coming and or going at the club, as they have changed the head honcho, have they not?
Yep, so end of the season came and went, stayed up by the skin of the teeth, and Ruben Sayers was rewarded with from that with a promotion to the head coach of Sheffield United. Effectively, he was fired and rehired within the space of about 7 days, if that.
Weird.
It was that long, was it? It was like spelling it up 5 minutes.
Yeah, bit of an odd one. Then Hull did their now usual thing of becoming the Watford of the North in terms of the managerial merry-go-round that is Adrian Ilijali's ownership, and we were linked with all sorts. One manager we were linked with, whose name escapes me at the moment, I think they decided against him on the basis that he was still on a suspended sentence for using a racial slur in a post-game interview. So that was an interesting choice to begin with. But we've settled on a Bosnian gentleman. Now I am going to absolutely butcher his name here. I decided not to write it down, which was a ridiculous move. But he's Sergei Yakirovich, possibly, if my pronunciation is right. Yeah, again, as an absolute shock to nobody, he's managed in Turkey, so come to Hull.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's a perfectly logical career progression for me. So that's the business that Hull have done. So that just leads us on to our season-long prediction, specifically for Hull. Now, obviously, I don't know if you've seen any of the pre-season stuff, but if you were hard pressed, would you have a one to watch that you would pick out of the current squad that you'd think would be the guy that you sort of pinning your hopes on for the season, so to speak?
My one to watch for the season I went between two actually, and as ridiculous as this is, because he's not going to start the season, need to remember that we've effectively got two new signings coming back in the respect of Balumi and Miller, because they've both got their ACLs up and running again, and probably about a month away from being allowed back into first team action. Of the two, I would probably pick Liam Miller, but of the new crop that's just come through the door, I'm excited to see what this kid from Manchester City's got in him. Left winger, so Joel and Darla is my my pick on that one.
Very, very nice. I know what you mean. Obviously, they come with a bit of a caveat, don't they? For every Cole Palmer, you can see a Micah Hamilton. The less said about him, the better. I don't know what you want to do. Is obviously the usual thing we do is with our own teams we give the prediction last. So if me and Matt give our predictions for who we see, where they will finish, and then we'll come to Stu for the grand finale, so to speak. So, do you want to go first, Matt, or do you want me to lead us off with my prediction for the season?
Go on, I'll go first. After that, I've gone optimistic. Like let's aim for the stars. I've gone 14th.
Ooh.
Kind of mid-table, but kind of bottom half. And I've gone with Destan for the top scorer because there's no way I was naming that using that other one.
I couldn't possibly know who you're talking about there. It's got a very similar feel for me. I too have gone for Edith Destan as my top scorer for the season. Not quite as optimistic as Mr. Moore. I've gone for Hull to finish in 20th. There's a lot of people that are tipping them as one of the 3 teams to go down. On paper, I don't think the squad's actually that bad.
No.
Personally, obviously that'll be dependent on if they end up selling any more of the sort of the like high ranking players and stuff like that. But yeah, I think they've got enough in the squad to stay up. So I've gone for 20. That just leaves us with the big man. And is he confident, or is he just thinking, "Nah, just end it now"?
If we'd have been recording this about a month ago, I'd have probably have said worse. But it's weird because I don't actually think that the business they've done is terrible. It's probably been a bit of a wake up call in terms of all the money they spaffed during Liam. Obviously, we finished 7th at the time, but all the money they spaffed with Liam Rossini, and then they couldn't get those players ticking again the next season. Obviously, some of the loan players left and everything, but the big hitters that stayed just they weren't the same players. So during pre-season, ridiculously, they lost their first game behind closed doors to Lincoln. Have not lost the game since. They've played a few games against Turkish sides. They've played over here against some League One sides. They've beaten Sunderland, and they drew 0-0 in the last home friendly with Getafe. So there's not that kind of. I know it's only pre-season. Not going to get too carried away with it, but already they haven't been on a hide into nothing for months on end like they pretty much were all last season. So unfortunately for the podcast, for my own conscience, and for everybody listening, I have had to pick Ollie McBurney as the goal scorer because I get the impression he's going to cause a bit of bother and just be a general nuisance. And finish-wise, I've gone in the middle of you two. I've gone 16th.
Very nice indeed. That's Hull done and dusted. Borough shouldn't really take me as much time, so I'll just dive straight in. Obviously, like Stu said, with Hull, they had a 10th place finish last season. Top scorer was Tommy Conway with 13. And I suppose the first bit of news was obviously Gibson decided that wasn't good enough, and he removed Michael Carrick as the head coach. And after what seemed like a bit of an age, they finally settled on the new man to replace him. And he went with Rob Edwards, formerly of Luton Town. And yes, that is correct, ladies and gentlemen. Luton Town, no longer a championship club. So they're playing in League One next season. So, yeah, not really one to set the pulses racing, I would say, between like Borough fans and stuff like that.
Hang on. Hang on. You mean to say you're not excited by the fact that your team that was close to the playoffs have been taken over by a manager who was the furthest point away from the playoffs possible?
I don't know what you're talking about, mate. He's a born winner. He's a guaranteed success. Ugh. Yeah, I think at the time, if you'd asked the majority of Borough fans, they probably would have said they'd probably want Danny Rowe at Sheffield Wednesday to take over. That's become even more infuriating in the last couple of weeks, in the fact that he has now left Sheffield Wednesday and is available to anyone who wants to take him. Underwhelming would probably be the easy thing to say on that one. And you never know; it might work out. It might prove to be a shrewd appointment, but I'm not seeing it personally. Ins and outs, it has been quiet, to say the least. Borough have only signed 3, but they've only let 3 go. The players that have gone out, Anthony Dykesdale was released after his contract came to an end. He's gone on to join, oh good lord, someone in Turkey. It ends with a spore, and it's got an awful lot of like letters in it. Kocalia spore, something like that. Johnny Howson, his contract was also not renewed, and he leaves the club after 300 plus appearances. Was obviously the club captain. He's since gone back to Leeds, but in a position with their under 21s team. So he'll play only for the under 21s, and he'll be a coach. So interesting to see how that one works out. The other out was for money. Josh Coburn made his loan move to Millwall a permanent one, reportedly for around €6 million. Don't know why it's reported in euros. It's from Transfermarkt. So, yeah, could be one that comes back to bite us in the arse if he turns out to be a good championship level striker. But I think it was probably time for him to move on. He wasn't really going to get a look in at Borough, and obviously Millwall like what they saw. So Borough then turned around, and as we found out with Hull, they reinvested some of that money straight away in buying Alfie Jones from Hull. Don't really know much about him, so obviously was thrilled to find out that he's a side to side merchant. That'll be great when he's passing it amongst his fellow two centre half. I think he's fairly well thought of in the Championship as a central defender. Probably will do a decent job. They also signed a central midfielder.
You're gonna get somebody who's solid at centre half and who isn't exactly prolific at getting the ball forwards quickly. But having said that, my most recent experiences of him have been under management that have wanted to piss about with it at the back. So who knows? He might be a reformed man. He might have the shackles lifted when he gets up tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see. I think the early signs are positive in the games that he's played in pre-season. They signed a central midfielder, Abdoulaye Kante from Troyes, for €3 million.
What do you call him?
Yeah, well, exactly. The admin had a bit of a laugh with this one, as back in the day, N'Golo Kante was recommended to the club by someone on Twitter. The club said they'd passed it on to their scouts and then didn't follow up on it and were made to look rather foolish when he signed for Leicester and obviously won the league. So he's come in. A lot of people think he'll be the replacement for Hayden Hackney, tipped to move on, but as it stands, Hayden Hackney's still at the club and has turned down a record move to Ipswich for a championship transfer. So whether or not he's still at the club come the end of the transfer window, we'll have to wait and see. And the final player they brought in is fullback Callum Britton from Blackburn Rovers for an undisclosed fee. I think he's widely looked at as one of the best right backs in the championship. It's somewhat of a steal to get him from Blackburn. And I think the Blackburn fans aren't too happy that he's gone. So always positive when players are moving on and you get people's backs up. I'll go through my one to watch and then we'll have a little break before we come back and do the Borough specific predictions. I'm hoping that I go 2 for 2 because I had quite a good one last season and I had Dinazaz and said that if he hit the ground running, he might get into double figures for both goals and assists. And he did. So I was very happy with that one. So I'm going to go on a similar vein. It's a player that's already at the club that they signed in January's transfer window. I'm going to go for Morgan Whittaker. Didn't really happen for him in the second half of last season after his big money move from Plymouth. But in the pre-season games, he's kind of been the guy that everything seems to be going through. He sort of rotates from on the wing to either being in behind the striker. So I think if he gets a run of games, if he's sort of seen as the guy that everything goes through, I reckon we could be talking again a guy that gets double figures in both assists and goals. And I think he could be the difference maker in whether or not Borough get into the playoffs or falling short of the playoffs yet again. So watch this space. But yes, Mr. Morgan Whittaker would be my selection as the one to watch for the Borough. So that just leaves us with our Middlesbrough season-long predictions to go through. We will just step away momentarily for a very quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And just like that, the break is over. And like we said, you didn't even know it happened. So aren't you all lucky? Right. So season-long predictions for the Borough. New manager. Some new players. Let's have a look and see if the optimism's been renewed. Obviously, I'll give my predictions after as it's my lads. I have to go and throw my support behind it. Let's go to Stu first to see what Stu's got down for Borough for this season.
Top scorer?
Yeah.
Conway.
TC, lovely.
And your renewed vigour from your brand spanking new relegation crested manager will see you in 10th, I've got. Feel like I might just have stood on Matt's toes with them.
Matthew, do I just need a lot of ditto back?
I was going to say, do you want me to change them, or just for a bit of kind of thingy? I'll just to be a twat about it, I'll say 9th, and Conway is the top scorer.
Hey mate, it don't bother me. If you were going to be a twat about it, you should have said 11th.
Yes, he definitely should have said 11th, as I've gone to Buddlesford to finish 9th. I haven't gone for Tommy Conway as the top goal scorer. I'm kind of going all in on it basically, but I've gone for Whitaker. I think it's going to be one of those ones where he's either going to be all or nothing. He's either going to be 25 goals or he's going to be like 4. So I'll just go.
I was surprised when I looked through the squad that he's down as a right winger because he scored a lot of goals at Plymouth. I assumed that he was a striker.
I think they did play him off the wing, to be fair. So I wouldn't be surprised. Like I think the way that he's setting up the play, obviously, Edwards plays 3-4-1-2 at times because obviously he had the 2 strikers at Luton, didn't he? And Adebayo and Carlton Morris. So we'll wait and see. But like I say, in pre-season, he's been the guy that everything's been going through. So I think there's a high possibility that he could be the main guy to supply the bullets for Tommy Conway and get a few himself. That's Borough and Hull done and dusted. So we come to the main event, as it were, and obviously Nottingham Forest. Now, as we discussed at the start, they haven't just got domestic football to concentrate on this season. They've got a jaunt to Europe in either the Europa Conference League, which they were originally qualified for, or they've been bumped up to the big boy league.
Well,
Europa League. It's not the big boy league, obviously.
Middle child kind of league.
the middle child league. Yeah, we'll call it that. We'll go with that. So it's a case of where you want to start, really. I mean, like, when have they given a deadline of when UEFA have to make the decision, or is it even UEFA? What about creating the sport, or I don't know.
So I think the hearing, I should have this written down. It's one of those things where I'm doubting myself now. I'm pretty sure the hearing is the 8th.
What's that? That's
Friday.
Yeah.
And then
this on purpose. They schedule it for after the podcast releases. That's all it is.
Let's have a look. Yeah. So the hearing is the 8th. And the decision will be made by the 11th. So, I mean, we could pop on and do a reaction, kind of 5 seconds of either me. Well, I mean, either way, it's going to be me saying the F word, either in misery or as a to Crystal Palace. So yeah, I've tried to find it. I'll give the credit to a Forest podcast that I listen to, Forest Focus, and one of the fans, obviously, he's he's on there. He's like normally a reasonable guy. He does all the Tifosi kind of things at Forest, and he was like, "I've just had that much grief off Crystal Palace fans now that I've gone back onto their website, and somehow this has now mysteriously disappeared of them welcoming John Textor as a major shareholder and co-owner of Crystal Palace. We look forward to having his input into taking the football club forward." Got no influence on the club, guys. Absolutely no influence on the club, guys. I mean, maybe his influence was reading emails or making sure they went into the correct inbox, or maybe he didn't. Maybe he failed to employ or maybe they didn't listen to his advice on, making sure you got someone to check your junk box every now and again, or, employing someone to do that for you. So yes, it is a European adventure. Part of me, now this is where obviously the glass half empty kind of person comes in. Part of me was quite happy with the Conference League because I genuinely think we could win it.
That was my sort of thought on it, to be honest with you. It was a case any English team that goes into that competition should be the automatic favourite for it.
The problem is, at the end of the day, if you go into the Europa League, it's an extra £18 million in the coffers. So it's that kind of balance of things, and I would suggest. I don't know whether the owner's underestimating it. Maybe if they charge similar to what they charged for the Fiorentina game last night, which if you saw the highlights, it was very, very empty because they charged 20 quid for a friendly on a Tuesday night. That's why it was empty. So,
that's what pissed me off about the Borough, because they did the same with the Rangers game at 20 quid, and I was like, that's ridiculous.
Shocking. I think first game of the season against Brentford has been classed as obviously now clubs have their tier of games, and I think it's been classed as an A game because it's the first game of the season, so everybody wants to go. So I can't remember if the cheapest ticket is 45 or 50 quid to go and see Brentford, who nobody wants to go and see that. The unfortunate thing is they do.
And as well, with the sort of the away tickets thing in the Premier League, you know for a fact that you're paying more than the away supporters who come all the way from London to watch it, so it's even worse.
And we'll get into the actual signings in a minute, but apparently there's been some signings in the stands. That would be 3 extra rows in the Peter Taylor stand at the front. So they've added 3 rows of seating all the way along the front to add in. I mean, they're squeezing seats in wherever they can. At some point, they'll just build a little mound, and there'll just be 1 seat on a mound just because we've got that extra 1 person in. They'll sell it as £100 seat because it's an exclusive seat on your own, like a little throne or something like that.
Just do an Everton and find a corner where you can't see the pitch and just put a seat there anyway. It's fine.
Restricted view. Right. So, kind of as we said last, slightly disappointed end to the season. Bit of more kind of just admin-y stuff over the summer holidays. The plans for aforementioned Peter Taylor stand have gone through, which will. It's they've made a big hoo-ha over it, and apparently it's only going to take the ground up to 38,000 from where it currently is. So that's that moving forward, but it's that kind of starting to kind of obviously this vision that Marinakis has of this kind of 48 to 50,000 seater stadium. That is, will I be retired by then? I think I might be retired. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine big Evanjo will still be alive by the time we get to 50,000, considering that the Peter Taylor stand stuff's been 10 years in the making. So we'll see. I don't think I'll see the day that Forest will have a 50,000 seater stadium. A lot of things kind of depend on it. Right. So more importantly, on the field stuff. Kind of some of the key things this summer. I didn't realise that Nuno was out of contract kind of towards Christmas time. So he's renewed his contract, as has Nico Williams, as has Ola Aina. And depending on who you talk to, after a transfer saga for the ages, and possibly, if you saw the really awkward interview at the side of the pitch in Portugal, possibly with a gun to the side of his head. Maybe there was a horse's head in his bed when he got out to Portugal. We don't know. But Morgan Gibbs-White also signing a new contract with Forest to make him, as it said in the press release, the highest paid player in Forest history.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Marinakis.
Pardon?
Thank you, Mr. Marinakis. Thank you.
It was like, I mean, I don't know if he was being sheepish because he kind of obviously, I didn't push for the move. Like, you obviously said something. Somebody said something somewhere. I think as more stuff has come out, though, the 60 million, which is a lot of money for somebody. The structure was very, very strict, and of course, in the ultimate Spudsy way, they were unwilling to meet the conditions. So, like, I mean, Marinakis was not going to give any leeway because he was pissed off, but the conditions, I think the conditions were basically, if you want him for 60 million, we want the full wedge of 60, no structures, no paying us over 3 years, no fucking about, no trying to add in like add-ons and all that kind of thing. We want 60 million. We want it up front. Otherwise, do one kind of thing. So yeah, and obviously, if it is, I think, and obviously there was other things in there. Obviously, it was highly confidential, which is bizarre. Like, I mean, basically, it's kind of like when you're doing a computer game, and if someone would have come in like Man City and would have gone, "Oh, we'll offer you 80 million for him," it would have ding, you have activated the release clause that nobody knows about, like jumping on a box in Mario or something like that, and here you go, you've won Morgan Gibbs White.
Just see the coins deducting at the top.
But players that have left, disappointingly, Anthony Elanga. I think it's partly. I think there was an element of him wanting to go because he wanted to play with his mate Isak and Osalu as well. But also it helps us with PSR, which we've always got to think about because obviously we're still very close to that because generating money, bullshit. Not official amount, somewhere between 50 and 55 million with add-ons that apparently are very, very difficult to achieve according to that twat that they send up here all the time, or lives up here, or is definitely a Newcastle fan because he absolutely goes absolutely nuts about Newcastle shit. Keith, somebody, he can go fuck himself off Sky. However, keeping our wonderful relationship going with John Texter, I mean, there's some like seriously undercover stuff going on here. We've sold Danilo to Botafogo, who is in the group that got them into the thing, for £20 million, I think, 22. Again, that's not quite sure about that one. That one's a shame, that one. It kind of just obviously broke his leg first game of the season last season. And it just he always seemed to get an injury just at the moment where you thought, right, this could be his team. So he's gone back to Brazil. I suspect he'll be back in Europe within 2 years because he is that good. And if he kind of goes away, he gets fit, grows up, kind of learns how to play a certain way. Because there is you got reports from Brazil saying he was a 6, some people saying he was an 8, some people saying he was a 10, and he just never found his place. Ramon Sousa was sold to Palmeiras for, again, 10 million pounds, I think, approximately. Never really got it going. Obviously, it was one of them ones that Nuno just didn't fancy him, kind of thing, as a player. So he's done a season and gone back. Not gone back to, because he came from Argentina and has now gone to Brazil. Andrew Bomadelli. He's been sold to Strasbourg. He was on loan there. He had an absolute nightmare. I think if you go back to, one of our final podcasts of the year, I think I might have mentioned his absolute disaster of a game for Strasbourg, effectively costing them European football. But he's gone back there again, he's another one of the ones where if we'd been a middle to bottom Premier League team, he might have played more for us. If we would have got relegated that season, he definitely would have played for us the season afterwards. Speaking of which, Lewis O'Brien, who's joined Wrexham, 5 million, I think. He was touted for Hull and for Borough, but has ended up at Wrexham. Those bright Hollywood lights have really dazzled him. Again, he comes in under the Omar Bomadelli kind of thing. He had a bit of a shaky start. I think it's when you see that thing that they had the graphic up on Sky Sports about how much money Sunderland have spent. Forest was still top, I think, and we signed 23 players that season. So, yeah, he just got lost in the wash of what else we bought. Jonathan Panzo, never really got settled in the team. I always thought he was decent. He's gone to Rio Ave. Don't want to mention the word multi-club ownership, but he is part of the Marinakis group, shall we say, Rio Ave in Portugal. He was there last season. He's joined there free. Tyler Binden, a Kiwi defender that we signed from Reading last January. He went back on loan to Reading, and now he's gone to Sheffield United for the season. He's like one of the ones that they're really looking kind of positive towards. Harry Toffolo was released at the end of it. He asked not to have his contract renewed, and he's gone to Charlotte in the MLS. And then finally, Wayne Hennessy has retired but rejoined Forest as a goalkeeping coach. I would suggest that list is going to get bigger in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Mainly youth players going out on loan. Players in. Much debate on this one. I'm going to go. Well, most people say big money signing. So apparently, officially the most we've ever paid for a player. I would question that because obviously the Gibbs White. I wonder what of the add-ons kind of went on with there. So Dan and Doy, a winger from Bologna, Swiss winger. We've got him. He's not the most recent signing. It's the most recent big money signing. But at the start of the summer, but then after the World Club Cup, we got Igor Jesus and Jai Cunha that joined us both from Botafogo. Strangely, their amounts add up to about the same as Danilo's amount. I wonder how that one works. Yep, and then today it was announced that Angus Gunn has joined us from Norwich on a free transfer. People of our age will remember Brian Gunn. It is his son. That's that. Lots of rumours going around at the moment, and no doubt they'll probably sign another 5-6 players over the weekend. So, yeah.
Very nice. So, that's the ins and outs, and obviously Forest, the only one of our teams that didn't change their manager in the off-season, so we haven't really got anything to go through there. So, if you were pressed, who would be your one to watch for the season?
My one to watch for this season is Elliot Anderson. I think it's going to be really controversial. I think there's every chance he leapfrogs Morgan Gibbs-White and knocks him out of the England squad by kind of springtime next year, because I think he's that good. It's a different class, and the best thing's going to be is that by the time the summer comes around, there's going to be talk of him being like 60, 70, 80 million, and all the Muppets up here will get their knickers in a twist about it, and someone like Man City will come and offer like 100 million for him, and he'll go there. And I mean, the delight that I will take in that will just be unbridled. So yeah, Elliot Anderson, he can play anywhere down the middle kind of thing, in a more defensive role, in a kind of number 8 role, in a number 10 role. And I genuinely think that he's going to be the person who makes our team go this year, not the person who had a release clause in his contract. I think that there's, like I said, and I think by the end of the season, there's a good chance that he's leapfrogged Morgan Gibbs-White in a lot of ways, not just not just into the England squad, but as in the most valuable player in our team monetary-wise and the most valuable player in making our team tick.
I like it. I thought there was he definitely sort of like came into his not his own as such, but he definitely sort of like improved as the season went on. You could tell there was definitely like he was finding his feet and stuff. So I don't think that's a terrible shout or a hole. So that just leaves us with the season-long predictions for us, and obviously Matt's gone first for the Borough. Matt's gone first for Hull, Stuart first for the Borough. So I'll go first for Nottingham Forest. So I think we'll get a bit of a regression because obviously they've got more games to play. They've got other stuff that's going to be taking up their time. So I've gone for a slight regression. I've gone for them to finish 11th this season. I think they'll be sort of like he'd roughing around like sort of middle of the pack. Top goal scorer though, I've gone for the new boy. I've gone for Igor Jesus. Matt is not happy because it would appear I've just pissed all over his Mr. Chip. So we'll wait and see when we come to him later on. Stu, what have you got for finished and top goal scorer?
Finish. I have to say, I'm sorry, Matt. Before I preface this, I've gone for 9th. I don't know. The Elanga thing has probably hit me hard in terms of predictions. I didn't expect him to go, and I don't know. I don't know enough about the players that have come in to warrant whether or not they're going to be adequate replacements. But plus with the European thing, stretching them a little bit, I've gone for 9th. Particularly as well, if they go deep in that competition. Let's be fair though, if they finish 9th and do well in that competition, it's much better than finishing 16th or 17th as well. So shots clearly fired. In terms of top scorer, one of the new guys at it, Ndoye.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going for him.
Absolutely no love for getting your wood out. Actually, the main man himself. So, where do you see the boys finishing? Have we maybe heard where you think they might be finishing?
I mean, once again, we've agreed. I put 11th and I put Jesus as the thingy, but I'll switch it to 10th just to slot in between you two.
We've got a nice 3-place covering there.
Yeah.
Sticking with Jesus.
I think there will be a regression. Other teams have somehow managed to spend an absolute shit ton of money. Man United, it depends on them selling players. I'm like, all right, then these overpriced players that are on God knows how much of a wedge, but fine, whatever. But yeah, so I think they'll be better. The likes of the Spuds will be better, possibly, if they can sign any players. Ditto for
Newcastle. If they're any worse, they'll be relegated. So
he's not wrong, and you're sticking with Jesus as the top goal scorer.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I think Chris Wood started to look a bit old towards the end of the season, or definitely tired. And I don't know that Jesus will just hit the ground running because he's just like they've done. He's like obviously just finished the season in Brazil, hit the Club Cup. I just don't know whether he'll just hit that ground running. And I mean, he might get to like 10, 12 by Christmas and then not score again. But I think the goals might be shared around a little bit more this year.
Yeah, I didn't know with him if it was the sort of thing where Wood will probably start the season with Big T as the sort of the off the bench option. So like they just ease him in gradually. Wouldn't be surprised if he starts the European games and the Cup games. But obviously, if he scores those, you might sort of transition into the league team and stuff like that.
I mean, how much you read into pre-season, but Jesus has been starting, but behind Wood.
Right. Okay.
So he's been whenever they've played, him and Wood have been on the pitch together. I don't know whether depending on which European competition we're in. I if we're in the conference, I reckon T's play. He'll be like the main man for that because I think he'll absolutely terrify Take your pick: Estonian, Macedonian, Latvian defenders, and I won't say anything else.
Lovely. So, just to pull the curtain back slightly, this is normally where we would go into our season-long predictions for the Championship and the Premier League as a whole. But I'm not here for the next couple of weeks. Neither is Mr. Moore. So we are going to get a couple in the can, so to speak, as I believe the kids are saying these days. They're absolutely not saying that. So, that's just it. So we're going to save our season-long predictions for both the Championship and the Premier League for next week's podcast. And we're going to jump straight into our week one predictions. Now, there's no Nottingham Forest games, obviously, because they aren't in the Championship anymore. So we've got just Hull and Borough games to cover. Our first game of the brand new season is a 12:30 kickoff live on the Sky Sports Plus telebox, where Coventry City are taking on Hull City. Obviously, it's where my season ended last year, and it's where Mr. Woodmansey's season begins this. It is Mr. Woodmansey's team. He will therefore give his prediction last. I'll open us up. I'll start us off for the season. I've gone for a share of the spoils here. I've gone for a 1-1 draw. I've gone for Jack Rodoni, who start off where he finished last season. And I've gone for a debut goal for the new signing, Destan, for Hull. Matt, what have you got down for Cov versus Hull?
I've gone for a Coventry 2-1 win.
Okay.
I've gone for Miller for Hull.
Oh, hang on. You said Miller?
Oh, he can't play, can he?
Don't pick him yet because he'll be probably more towards the end of September.
Damn it. I have sorry.
Pay no attention to me just randomly scratching things out of the book. No attention at
all. I'll give you my Coventry players. I've gone for Brandon Thomas Asante.
Yep.
And Rafael Borges Rodriguez.
You bastard.
It starts early, boys. It starts early.
Every week. Get ready. Going to need lots of
Are you just going to look for anyone? This season, I fully expect to get the first triple-barrel surname player on the pod.
Undala, is that the Man City lad?
Yes.
I'll go with him.
Okie dokie. Let me just double check his spelling. Undala. Lovely jubbly. Right then. That leaves us with the man whose team it is. First of all, are you going?
No. Unfortunately not. I have been to Coventry before, but no, not this time.
Enough.
Will you be able to watch?
Possibly. It has been moved, hasn't it, for the old stupid 12:30 kickoff selection? Because what every football fan wants is to look forward to the first game of the season and then realise that it's at dinner time instead, completely stuffing up your entire day. No, I might be able to watch it. I'm not sure. Whether I'll want to watch it or not is an entirely different question. And to that question, I would say, Matt, you have no reason to apologise. I haven't even gone for us to score. I've gone for Coventry 1, Hull City 0, with Sakamoto to score.
Yeah, he was good when I've seen him play. Nippy.
He was great against us last year as well. So name kind of stuck out when I saw him on the sheet.
Annoyingly so. So first game done and dusted. Next game, Middlesbrough versus Swansea, also live on Sky Sports Plus. Not at 12:30, 3 p.m. kickoff, like God intended. We'll go straight back to Stu. Middlesbrough versus Swansea City. Your prediction, please.
I've gone for a 1-1 draw. I've gone for Conway for Borough and Cullen for Swansea.
Very nice. Matthew?
I've gone for a 3-1 Borough win.
Oh, pull your boots, son.
Cracking start to the season. I've gone Conway, Whittaker, and Azaz.
Yep.
And then to balance out my multiple barreled named commentary tape players, Swansea have got a player called Ronald. That is it. That's all the name. Ronald.
I think you'll find it. It's a bit bucket bouquet situation because I think he's called Ronald.
Ronald.
He's got a red wig and looks like a clown to me. So
that's just his summer job whilst the football's been off.
Very nice. I am in agreement with Mr. Mo. I have also gone for a Borough win. I've just gone for 2-1 though. I've gone for Conway and Old Boy Rule, Morgan Whittaker, because I believe he had a spell at Swansea. And then I've gone for Vipotnik to score for Swansea. Our third game, and we're getting into Carabao Cup Round 1 territory, and this sees Middlesbrough taking on Doncaster. Now again, I believe this may be on the old Sky Sports Plus channel. We'll have to see, as I may be away when this takes place. So might have to see if I can get it on the old telly box. Matt, what have you got for Middlesbrough versus Doncaster Rovers in the first round of the Carabao Cup?
I've got a 1-1 draw.
Okay.
Give me a minute. Because I'd forgotten about these ones. So I'm predictions. And now I'm looking for players. Apologies.
Can go to Stuart if you want a little bit of time.
Yeah, if that's all right.
All right. So the Borough Doncaster.
Please.
I have gone for a 2-0 home win. I assume that they'll be using this game to try and get a few bedded in and kickstart a couple of player seasons. So after what we were saying before, if it's going to be an all or nothing season, it was pretty much nothing for the kid last year. So I've gone for Whittaker to try and use this to get going. And everybody's favourite donkey, Marcus Force.
Oh, that's unfair. He's just been injured all the time. So that's
and then when he's not, but then when he's not injured, he does a cracking trade for the local signage people by knocking them down from the top of the stand. So,
if you just to go forward a game, if you need it for the next one, it's Wrexham versus Hull for the next one, Matt.
Yeah, I've got it. So I've got my thing now. I've gone 1-1 draw. 4's an Ironside. 4's for Borough. Ironside for Doncaster. But I've gone for Borough to win on penalties.
I have put the little P next to the 1 for the Borough. I've gone for a 3-1 Borough win here. I've gone for Bergzorg, Morris, and Kante to score. I think it might be Kante off the bench for his first appearance, potentially. Then I've gone for Molyneux to score for Doncaster because he used to play for Pools, so why not? And then our final game of the week sees Wrexham taking on Hull City in, again, the Carabao Cup first round. And again, it should be live on the Sky Plus telly box. I have got for a 2-2 draw here, and then I've gone for Hull to progress on the penalty spots. So I've gone for Longman and Smith, because obviously it's the old boy rule, so therefore he has to score. Longman and Smith for Wrexham, and I've gone for Kamara, definitely not Miller, and Joseph to score for Hull. Now, that might sound mental, as Joseph, as I believe we covered on the podcast after, is shit. So, I think he might get a little bit more of a chance. Matt, what have you gone for Wrexham Hull?
I've gone for a 2-1 Wrexham win. I think, I don't know if it's their first game at whatever they call their stadium, but
Catherine.
But what?
Stop Catherine.
Oh yeah, some
Aye,
Welsh
that.
stuff. So yeah, I've gone for Windass and Rodriguez to score,
Yeah.
and Slater to score for Hull.
I can only presume definitely not going because it's in Wales and it's on a Tuesday. Prediction?
So I'm unaware of who Wrexham's first game in the league is. I feel like they will have it a little bit more difficult this season than they've had previously. However, they'll probably use this as like, oh, look, we're so big, we can beat a former Premier League team that hasn't been a Premier League team for seasons now. And therefore, I have us down to lose 1-0. And just to rub salt into that wound, they managed to sign a guy who is an absolute fucking unit and always scores against us. So I'm going for Kiefer Moore.
Yeah, Wrexham seem to have adopted the principle of, are you Welsh? Have you got previous championship experience? We'll have you.
Yeah.
So, yes.
The annoying thing is, if this was any other side spending the amount that they have, like they'd get absolutely done. But it's infuriating for everybody else because they've sort of done it in a way that's within the rules this time. So
But because
pay attention, Manchester City, bitches.
League One doesn't come with any PSR stuff, does it? Any like
Yeah.
regulation?
Oh, do they not? I think it's. I mean, obviously, you can see it lower down when Ryan Reynolds Gin Company, or maybe had he just sold it? Possibly was sponsoring them. I mean, that definitely wasn't in the clause that when he sold said gin company that they must sponsor. Fishy.
Yeah. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That brings us to the end of week 1 for the podcast this season. Thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, we'll be back next week with your season-long predictions and some predictions for week 2. Obviously, we won't be able to go through the predictions for week 1 as they won't have happened. So watch your space. We'll do a roundup when we all get back. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you all next week. Bye for now.
Well, there we go. What do you think to that? First one of the season in the bag. Plenty more of those to come. Big thank you for watching. Big thank you for listening. Big thank you for being here. Before you leave us, if you are new here and you think, maybe check out the next one, the best way to do that is to like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review. And check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with these guys. Anybody, any of the podcasts, you can get in touch with anyone. I'll pass it on. That is it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
This has been another episode of CookieCast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.